Hello Stampin' friends, it's Ayana Johnston here with another check this out video tutorial to show you. Today I want to show you how I made this Botanical Gardens butterfly birthday card. Isn't it beautiful? You can get the supply list for this card on my blog at www.checkthisout.stampinup.net. Be sure to stop by my blog and visit the specials tabs for some great specials that I have going on right now. Okay, so let's get started making this card. To make this card, you're going to need two stamp sets. You're going to need the watercolor wings, and we'll be using the large butterfly in the 3 steps. And then we're also going to need the perfect pairings, and we'll be using this happy birthday below. Then we're going to be using some fun framelit dies. We're going to be using the Botanical Builder framelits, and from that set you're going to need this long border edgelet, these 2 flowers, and this real tiny flower right here. Then we'll be using the Lots of Labels framelits, and we're going to be using the size 4 and 5 in the Lots of Label framelits. And then you're also going to need the Bold Butterfly framelits, and in that set you're going to be using this larger butterfly that comes with it. For stamp sets you're going to need the following 3: Mint Macaron, Rose Red, and Tip Top Taupe. For cardstock, you're going to need a sheet of Mint Macaron, and you're going to want to cut this at 5.5 by 8.5, and then you're going to want to score it at 4.25. Then you'll need a scrap piece of the Mint Macaron as well. You're going to need a piece of Rose Red, and you're going to cut this first piece of Rose Red at 4 inches by 5.25 inches. You'll also need a scrap piece of the Rose Red. Then you're going to want a piece of Whisper White, cut at 4 1/8 by 5 1/8. And you'll need a scrap piece of Whisper White. Then you're going to want a sheet of the beautiful Botanical Garden Designer Series paper. And you're going to want to cut this at 4 inches by 5.25. And then I went ahead and got the coordinating vellum that goes with that beautiful designer paper. And you're going to cut a piece of the vellum, the Botanical Gardens Designer Vellum, at 4 inches by 5.25 inches. Okay, so first off, I want to go ahead and make my flowers. So what you're going to need is you're going to want to take your large flower, and you're going to cut a flower in the Mint Macaron. Then you're also going to need this tiny flower right here, and you're going to cut that in Mint Macaron. And then we're going to need this medium-sized flower, and we want to cut 2 of those in the Rose Red. The other piece to this is you're going to want to cut a border. What we're going to do is take this edgelet, and we're going to cut a corner over here with the edgelet, and then we're going to turn it around and do the same thing with that edgelet as well. So I'm going to go use this with my Big Shot. You'll want to use the precision plate to also go ahead and cut this as well, so you get a nice clean cut the first time around. So I'm going to go do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have all of my pieces ready to go. And a quick thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to ink around the edges of that large flower with Rose Red. Okay, I'm going to set this aside, and next I'm going to go ahead and get my pieces of paper ready for the stamping. First I want to go ahead and take my scrap piece of Mint Macaron, and then I also want to take my scrap piece of Whisper White. I'm going to stamp the 3-step butterfly, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp my Rose Red, and I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp on with part of my Rose Red as I use the inside of this for my Rose Red. The rest is going to be all Mint Macaron. And then on this I'm going to go ahead and stamp my Happy Birthday. I want to use my Tip Top taupe to stamp out the inside of the butterfly, but I'm going to do this after I use my framelit to cut it out. Next I'm going to stamp my happy birthday, and then I'm going to use my lots of label framelit. I'm going to use the smaller one and also cut that out after I stamp it. And I'm using rose red to stamp my happy birthday. Okay, now I have my pieces all cut out. The last bit of stamping I'm going to do is the inside of my butterfly. I'm going to use Tip Top taupe. Next, now that I have almost all my pieces, I'm going to go ahead and take that scrap piece of rose red, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out a large number 5 size of the lots of labels for my background. Then I'll have all my pieces and we can put it together. Okay, so I have all my pieces ready to put together. First I'm going to go ahead and use my trio punch, and I'm going to punch out the borders of all of these corners using this triple trio punch. And then I'm also going to put together my flowers, and then I'm going to layer it all together. I'm going to put together my flowers with some mono tumble glue so they have a chance to set, and then I'm going to work on my layers and adhere those to my card. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put on some of these beautiful Botanical Garden jewels on my flower with some glue dots. And then I'm also going to go ahead and put some bling on the smaller flower and adhere that to the card. And I'm using 2 Stampin' dimensionals to give it a little more height so you can see it just above that birthday, that happy birthday. Okay, so there you can see I went ahead and put a double glue dots in some areas so that way I can make sure it really sticks. And then I put a Stampin' dimensional on my butterfly, and I kind of like to make the butterfly stand out. The last thing I'm going to do is take some dazzling diamonds, and I'm going to go ahead and use some two-way glue and adhere some diamonds on my butterfly. And then there you have it. And for those of you who like to stamp the inside of your card, I took another sheet of Whisper White, cut it 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I stamped the butterfly right here. You can put a sentiment in here for your happy birthday or whatever you want to use this card for, thank you, or even, you know, wedding. It's your choice. So happy stamping. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to stop by my blog for some other great ideas and for some great specials. Thanks for watching.